Right, good morning everybody, or good evening, or good afternoon, or whatever it is for you. This is Stuart Lloyd again, talking about game books. So this will be my second instalment of my post-Windhammer results analysis of Call of Khalris. So today's instalment will be about your character, character creation, etc. Well, there wasn't much of it because I wanted to keep it simple. Basically, for your character, you had a set number of hero points, which I'll tell you what they are there. There were 7 hero points you had, and then you also chose a background for your character, which partly determined your skills and partly determined your outlook. Your skills and your outlook on life. Okay. So the background was the scholarly background, so you'd read a lot into, you delved into a lot of knowledge, etc. There was a religious background, so you were a priest or a monotheistic religion. There was a barbaric background, so you sort of lived in the tribes. And there was a mercenary background, so you were basically a soldier who did things for money. The feedback about that. I'll tell you what the hero points are about as well. So my hero points were like an all-encompassing score related to your sense of well-being, your mental resolve, and also it could be reduced by combat as well. So it's basically, I can only play the better, and sort of getting lots of treasure and doing great deeds would increase your hero point score, as I wrote. But losing them, you'd lose them as a result of things like that, okay, because then you'd undertake physical exertion or damage, and that would reduce your. You could get your hero point score reduced by undertaking stressful situations or seeing some unnatural beasties and getting frightened by them. So that's very Lovecraftian. So it's a bit like sand. And that's it. And if they reach 0, it depended on how your hero point score would reach 0. If your hero point score would reach 0 in a combat, then you died. If your hero point score reached 0 because of some frightening situation or something else, then you decided that you weren't up to staying in the city and that you should out of there. Okay, you were too freaked out. So what did people think of it? One person wrote that they liked the idea of backgrounds rather than skills, so it had more flavour to the character. Yeah, and I like that idea. The reason why I did do backgrounds was, well, I introduced it mainly as to what skills you would have in the city. But the main reason was it was kind of also a role-playing element. So the backgrounds would determine your outlook on life, and what I had in mind, which people didn't really take up, but it's up to them, as I've learned. You know, you shouldn't try and force people to do what you want to do. You should let them. But my idea was that as a character, they'd write down their experiences and how it affected their outlook that they had chosen based on their background. So, for example, how would the person with the religious background be by seeing all these elder gods and the effect of all the undead? Okay, so that's the kind of thing I was going for. I only used them once in the end, and someone said they were underused, because it was a bit of a decoy in terms. So I shouldn't have really done that. I should have, if I was going to introduce them, I should have used them. Okay, because it seems like people didn't pick up on my role-playing idea. So so I should have just used them more. One person said that they liked the idea of a background rather than a set of skills around the characters. That's good. Yeah, so maybe if I ever use skills in the future, I'll do it more like, for example, if you're more of a combat person, I'll say you have a soldierly background, you fought in this war, and then that gives you more flexibility with the character, or gives me more flexibility with the character as a writer, because then as well as just coming up with a situation that requires a special skill, it could also relate to a situation that happened in the world. So you may know someone who fought in the war, so you may be more friendly with them, that may give you an advantage, or yeah. So maybe having a background as well that defines your skills, rather than just pick a skill list. It gives more rounding to the character, it gives more chance for the author to do something so I think the backgrounds thing went well. It was just underused because I only used each background once for an advantage, because I wanted to get into the scary monsters bit. The hero points, they were a bit more polarising, okay, not as much as the diary idea. Some people love their simplicity because you only had one score, and also the lack of dice, because I do want to make things as simple as possible. That's what Einstein said, make things as simple as possible but not simpler. And in this case actually I think I made it too simple, because some people didn't quite like the idea of hero points, or didn't quite get the idea, and I agree, I wasn't too happy with them. What I was trying to go for was making the reader think that they were going on some treasure hunt thing. So the hero points were more, well, I've got loads of hero points for getting loads of treasure, but in fact actually you lose them loads because you get scared by monsters, etc. So yeah, and then I thought about the idea of a physical score and a mental score, but I didn't want to do physical and mental, or like sanity, because that would immediately give away that you'll find some sanity draining monsters out there. So I wanted to give some kind of score that made it look like they were going on some big treasure hunt, when actually they were having their sanity drained away. So that's why I came up with hero points. I think if I did it again, I might have a physical score in hero points, because I don't think the idea of dying if you hero points hit 0 in combat, I actually made it too simple, in the sense that, again, I'd have hero points as like mental resolve and general state of your mind, and I'd have a physical score like stamina or endurance or something, physical well-being. I think that's the best way to go about it. I mean, 2 scores, that's still super simple. I'm trying to think about it. Well, only the scholar background required use of skill rather than the use of interaction with the world. So the mercenary background is useful because you were friendly with the nomad, so it had nothing to do with your skill as a mercenary. Barbarian background didn't have anything to do with your skill, it had something to do with your background as a barbarian, being in contact with your ancestors. The background was how to identify a symbol of religious significance. So I suppose that is a skill, rather than holy background that only required a skill and not to do with sort of social interaction with the world. It's just you're able to a scroll. So I think the backgrounds went alright. I'd use them more next time. I'd have both a physical and a mental score, because I don't think one score was very good at measuring the whole city without a scratch. And there was also your luck as well, so you lost hero points because you avoided a snake. It's like, oh, you use some of your good luck up on that. The whole city without having a scratch, come across one easy combat because you're mentally shaken or your luck had been used up. You know, combat because you're mentally shaken, but I think it fitted. I think it would have been better to have 2. The points reach 0, then you'd give up and go home, and if your endurance was to point reach 0, you'd go. Join me again for another instalment. Bye bye.